When someone starts pulling away, the instinct is to chase harder, but that usually pushes them even further. The real shift happens when you stop chasing and change your approach completely. Instead of running after them, you step back, regain control, and let your actions create impact. This topic is about a powerful reverse game mindset, not manipulation, but a shift in energy. You stop overgiving, rebuild your self-worth, and create space that makes your presence more valuable. When you focus on yourself instead of chasing attention, the dynamic changes naturally. In this guide, you'll learn how to turn the situation around. So instead of you chasing, they start noticing your absence, feeling your value, and coming back with interest on their own. Pulling your attention back is the first and most powerful step in reversing the dynamic when someone is moving away. When you constantly focus on them, checking their messages, thinking about their actions, trying to get their attention, you give them all your emotional energy. This creates an imbalance where they become the center of your world, and you lose control over your own thoughts and feelings. When you pull your attention back, you consciously stop this pattern. You reduce unnecessary communication, stop overthinking their behavior, and shift your focus toward your own life. This doesn't mean ignoring them out of ego. It means choosing not to overinvest where effort is not being returned. This shift has two major effects. First, it helps you regain emotional control. Instead of your mood depending on their replies or actions, you become more stable and focused. Your energy is no longer scattered. It is centered on your own growth, routine, and well-being. Second, it creates a noticeable change for the other person. When someone is used to your constant attention and it suddenly decreases, they begin to feel that difference. Your absence creates curiosity. They start wondering why you are no longer as available or focused on them as before. Pulling your attention back also rebuilds your self-respect. You stop chasing validation and start valuing your own time and energy. This naturally increases your perceived value because people tend to respect what is not easily available. Pulling your attention back is about shifting your energy from them to yourself. It helps you regain control, rebuild confidence, and create a dynamic where your presence becomes something that is felt, not forced. Mastering the power of silence means understanding that you don't always need to speak, explain, or react to create impact. In situations where someone is pulling away, many people try to fix things by talking more, sending long messages, asking for explanations, or trying to keep the conversation alive. But often, too many words reduce your impact and make you seem emotionally dependent. Silence, when used correctly, creates strength. It shows that you are not desperate for attention and that you are comfortable with space. When you don't immediately respond or try to fill every gap in communication, you create a pause, and that pause has power. It gives the other person time to think, reflect, and notice your absence. From a psychological perspective, silence creates curiosity. When you stop explaining everything and reduce your availability, the other person starts wondering what changed. They begin to think about you more because your presence is no longer constant or predictable. Silence also protects your emotional energy. Instead of reacting to every message or situation, you take time to process your thoughts. This helps you avoid saying things out of frustration or insecurity. You respond with calmness instead of reacting with emotion. It's important to understand that silence is not about ignoring someone or playing games. It's about choosing when to speak and when to step back. It's about quality over quantity in communication. Another benefit is that silence increases your value. When you are not always available or expressive, your words carry more weight when you do speak. Mastering the power of silence helps you regain control, create curiosity, and maintain your self-respect. It turns your absence into influence and allows attraction to build naturally without pressure or over-effort. Rebuilding your self-worth is the foundation of changing any relationship dynamic. When someone starts pulling away, it's easy to question yourself. Am I not good enough? And then try harder to prove your value. But the truth is, chasing validation lowers your self-worth instead of increasing it. Self-worth is how you see yourself, not how others treat you. When your value depends on someone else's attention, you become emotionally dependent. This leads to overthinking, overgiving, and accepting less than you deserve. Rebuilding self-worth means breaking this cycle and recognizing your value from within. The first step is awareness. Notice where you are compromising too much: your time, your boundaries, or your self-respect. Once you identify this, you can begin to change it. You stop doing things just to gain approval and start making choices that respect your own needs. Next, focus on your life outside of that person. Invest in your goals, your health, your skills, and your routine. As you grow and improve, your confidence naturally increases. You start feeling secure within yourself instead of relying on someone else to feel valued. Rebuilding self-worth also changes your behavior. You stop chasing, stop over-explaining, and stop tolerating disrespect. You become selective about where you invest your energy. This shift is powerful because people tend to respect those who respect themselves. Another important effect is emotional independence. When your self-worth is strong, you are not shaken by someone's distance. You remain calm, grounded, and in control. Rebuilding your self-worth means becoming complete within yourself. You no longer seek validation. You carry your value internally. And when you truly value yourself, others begin to see and treat you differently as well. Becoming less available is about creating balance in how you give your time, attention, and energy. When you are always available, replying instantly, initiating every conversation, and adjusting your schedule for someone, you make your presence feel predictable. Over time, this can reduce your value because there is no sense of effort required from the other person. When you become less available, you don't disappear. You simply stop being constantly accessible. You take your time to respond, you don't always initiate, and you prioritize your own life instead of revolving around them. This shift shows that your time is valuable and not something that can be taken for granted. One of the biggest benefits of limited availability is that it creates importance. People tend to appreciate what they don't have constant access to. When you are not always there, your presence becomes something that stands out rather than something expected. Becoming less available also helps you regain control over your emotions. You are no longer waiting for their messages or planning your day around their attention. Your focus shifts back to your own goals, routine, and personal growth. This reduces emotional dependency and builds confidence. Another important aspect is respect. When you respect your own time and boundaries, others start respecting them too. You send a clear message that your life has value beyond the connection. However, it's important to keep this natural. Being less available is not about ignoring someone out of ego or playing games. It's about having a full life and not over-prioritizing someone who is not giving equal effort. Becoming less available increases your value, creates curiosity, and restores balance. It turns your presence into something meaningful, something that is noticed, appreciated, and not easily taken for granted. Letting them feel the shift means allowing your changed behavior to speak for itself instead of trying to explain it. When you stop chasing, reduce your availability, and focus on yourself, your energy naturally changes. This shift is not something you need to announce. It is something the other person will notice through your actions. Earlier, your behavior may have been predictable. You were always available, always initiating, and always trying to maintain the connection. But when you start valuing yourself more, pulling your attention back, and creating space, that pattern breaks. The other person begins to feel this difference. This feeling is important because it creates awareness. When someone is used to your constant attention and it suddenly reduces, they start questioning it. They may wonder why you are not reacting the same way anymore, why you are less available, or what has changed in your life. This curiosity can lead them to think about you more than before. The key here is consistency. If you change your behavior for a short time and then go back to chasing, the shift loses its impact. But when your actions consistently reflect self-respect and emotional balance, the change becomes real and noticeable. Another important aspect is patience. You don't force them to react immediately. You allow them to process the change at their own pace. This creates a more natural and genuine response instead of something driven by pressure. Letting them feel the shift also protects your dignity. You are not asking for attention. You are showing through your behavior that your time and energy are valuable. In short, when your actions change, the dynamic changes. By letting them feel this shift, you create curiosity, restore balance, and give the other person a chance to move toward you on their own.